Welcome back to another episode of Take Her to Church. Happy Sunday. I'm your host, Leanna.
And I'm Robin. And today we have a very special guest, Francesca Albo.
Woo! She is the CEO and founder of Puppysphere that started with a love of puppy therapy, has now expanded to offices in Toronto, New York, and Miami, and I believe also Chicago.
Chicago as well now.
Her dream is to open locations in every major city across the globe.
At just 27 years young, and she has a team of 100 people. We are so excited to have Francesca on Take Her to Church today. And we can't wait to hear more about her story and what's in store for this young entrepreneur.
Yes. So
wow, the accolades. I am like raised in a family where compliments were like few and far between. And so I'm like, wow, this is a lot.
Yeah,
oh my goodness.
love it. No, I mean, for myself, I've known you for a while now. We've done work together and stuff, and you've always been a big inspiration, and I love like what you're doing. So yeah, we're so excited to have you on today. So do you want to start off by telling us a little bit about yourself and where you kind of got to where you are?
I love it. Sounds great. I am truly a entrepreneur through and through. Growing up as a young kid, I was always building different businesses. Most of them didn't make that much money, but they were running. And eventually when I was maybe around like grade 12, I started getting more into the science realm of things. And so I started diving into research. So in my first year of university at McGill, I decided to spend my summer at U of T working in cancer therapeutics on this incredible project.
Oh, wow.
And lucky enough, that turned into a startup. So I really got a taste for the startup world first as this young kid doing these startups that didn't make any money, then going over to biotech, which also doesn't make any money, but really building something from scratch. And I helped raise about $2 million for that startup.
Oh, wow.
But it didn't go as well as I thought it would. And eventually when the startup started taking a turn and big shifts within it, I started building Doggos, which was a dog community. I know it sounds crazy going from biotech to a love of animals and building kind of different startups within the animal space, but I just love dogs so much, and eventually it led to puppy yoga.
Yeah, I mean, I've gone to the Doggos events, and I literally remember reading like, oh, it was, I think, a dog nightclub was the first event I had gone to. And I saw this, and I was working for a different company, and like we were doing content and stuff, and we had reached out to you, and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And
when you were working for Narcity, right?
Streets of
Toronto.
Yeah, Streets of Toronto. And yeah, we were just like, this is the coolest thing ever. I was like, I need to go. And I took Coda. Our followers kind of know, or our listeners kind of know about Coda.
Coda's so small.
Yeah.
Every single time you post a photo of her, I'm like, small.
Him.
How rude.
Okay.
How
That's
rude.
okay. It's really, his birth name is King Coda, but we call him Coda. But this isn't about him. But
But is it?
Yeah,
But is it?
Yeah, I wanted to
Is
bring
it inspired by?
Yeah, I wanted to bring him actually to be like, hey. But no, I remember that event, and it was just such a cool thing that you had thought of. And I was like, whoever thought of this is actually brilliant, because I don't know, like places you can take your dog. Like, what was the slogan? Was like, fuck leaving your dog at home or something? Yeah.
The slogan, fuck leaving your dog at home. It
Which was
bold,
literally that.
But
Yeah.
it's so funny because I remember going, and I was networking a ton in the beginning of building these startups. And I went to this Toronto Life event at Microsoft, and I met the president of Microsoft Canada, but still amazing.
Amazing.
And to get his attention, I said the slogan of the company, and he loved it so much. He came up to me twice during the party to like bring it up again, and we still keep in touch on LinkedIn.
Oh my goodness, that's
People
so
loved
cool.
it.
Yeah, no, it was great, and I feel like you guys really did exactly that.
So how did you know that Doggos was going to take off, or like how did you have the courage to leave what you were doing behind to take on entrepreneurship on your own?
Love it. I was working in biotech, but my schedule was quite open. I went from a team of 9 people and had to let go of pretty much the whole team. Just one other researcher stayed on. So I had a lot of time on my hands. So I kept that job as long as I could while building the startups. And I was so lucky that I had that opportunity to keep working corporate while working on my passion. It wasn't until I could almost pay myself that I left. But I actually didn't pay myself until like less than a year ago in the company. So I was paying a ton of other people.
Yeah.
But I've always been quite careful where I'm willing to kind of take the step back to build something rather than, starting to make our first millions and buying a fancy car and buying huge things, fancy clothes, etc. It's just like not really in my wheelhouse. I really like to reinvest, and even today I still like rent a $1,600 a month apartment and live my life kind of small, but I love building startups, so it's amazing.
Yeah. How long, I'm not sure if you said, have you been out of like a full-time job to fully
I think it's been 2 years now.
2 years? Okay. Very cool. And what kind of initially inspired you for like doggos, but then what shifted to focusing on like Puppysphere as like the main project, I guess?
Doggos actually didn't make any money, guys. Like,
no.
Okay.
and that's such an interesting thing about entrepreneurship is that in the beginning you start getting notoriety. And that notoriety is like a fire under your butt that like really pushes you and catapults you to want to do this.
Yeah.
And a lot of cases, even though it's making a bit of money, it might not be the model that is scalable. Right?
Right.
So when I'm running these incredible dog-friendly events like singles events, comedy shows, or a nightclub for dog owners, even though they're like generating some revenue, they're such unique experiences that to recreate that in a new city is so hard, especially that I built that community in like Ontario or like Ontario Doggos. So when I found Puppysphere and really creating these puppy yoga experiences, they were making so much money. And I was using it to funnel back into doggos, thinking that that was the method.
Yeah.
Because people loved the mission so much at doggos, and so did I, of making cities more dog friendly. But what I learned through that is that maybe that's a charity, and maybe that's not so much a business model that I can eventually pay myself in. And so when I brought on a financial advisor, which I recommend anyone doing. If you are not financially inclined, doesn't mean you can't be an entrepreneur. I am definitely not financially inclined. Even though I was a mathlete, it just did not translate later in life. But bringing in now my CFO, Jackson, was just such a transformational moment for my co-founder and I, where he looked through our books and said, "What the fuck are you girls doing? You guys are running these dog events and you're not making any money on them." I'm like, but the mission,
the idea is there.
It's there. And so eventually we made the move to cancel all of our dog-friendly events and focus solely on puppy yoga, really making it ethical and aesthetic and just an amazing experience for people and dogs. And since then, we've completely catapulted.
Okay. That's really cool. I didn't know that side of it. So it's interesting to kind of see, because obviously attending events like that and
they look like you're crushing it.
Seeing rooms full of people. And I mean, it was a conversation starter, I believe, for a lot of people too, to be like, oh, have you heard about this event? Or like seeing it around the city and stuff. But I'm sure, it's a lot of work to actually do them, to set those events up and not actually
And people are still doing them. I see people popping up with their dog-friendly events, and I love it, and I feel for them.
Yeah.
I really feel for them.
Yeah. Do you like wish you'd done that sooner, that like leaving doggos behind, or like How has it helped you like grow now and expand to the States?
No, I don't wish I went sooner
Yeah.
because I needed to build that reputation in the pet space and I needed to mature a bit as an entrepreneur. Through building that dog-friendly community, through building that notoriety, we were able to shift. And I'm just like so thankful for our team to be able to have made those like big moves. And I'm sure you guys get that too when you're doing something solo. It's amazing. And you're like, I can accomplish so much if I can just
Yeah.
replicate myself. But then if you can find people that have different skills that you don't have, that better the whole team, it's just incredible versus just having many mini yous.
Yeah. With Puppysphere now expanding across mostly into the US, how have you kind of been able to manage that and do that, especially while building a team in new cities that you're not always there for?
It's hard.
Yeah.
It's definitely hard. We have a very people heavy company where our events require 5 different people on site to be able to run one session with 30 people.
Right.
And so we definitely require an amazing group that are able to be hospitable on it, trained to handle with animals and all of that. And so I think when it comes to scaling, it's so, so important who you hire.
Yeah.
So I think when it comes to us, my favorite thing in the entire world is scaling. I love going into new cities. I love things that people would never think of doing because it's like, oh, it's so challenging to go in a new spot.
Yeah.
It's actually so great to just go for it.
Yeah.
Just if you have something that works in Toronto, it's actually likely going to work way easier in another city. Toronto's a really hard city to make money in.
We heard that from somebody who we were talking to. They do a lot of work in both cities, and they said, honestly, if you can push to working in the US, like you have the opportunity to expand so much bigger and so many other opportunities because if it works in one city, like it'll likely work in another, and you can just grow from there. Because, yeah, I guess Toronto is kind of that city that everybody's just in like a hustle mode and like trying to get ahead, that if it works here, you can
Yes,
take it to the US.
absolutely. And one thing I do find about Toronto is that if you're not in the in group, it's really hard to make it.
Yeah.
If you have the right community that has brought you in, you have a lot more of a chance. Doesn't mean you will, but you have a lot greater of a chance.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit like, I think the song like Crabs in the Bucket. You guys know the song like Crab in the Bucket? It's about like pulling people down in the bucket. I think it's about Toronto.
Yeah.
And it is. And it's a little bit like that in Toronto, unfortunately, unless you have an amazing group of people that are there to support you. So if you can become successful in Toronto, you're going to completely catapult in other cities. Look at Othership right now.
Yeah.
Othership is like this incredible business in Toronto that it's almost like a cult. And I love a business kind of like a cult. It's a vibe. Disney's like a cult too. And now they're expanding to multiple locations in New York. And they're going to crush it. They're going to absolutely crush it. So to me, when I see a business completely flourish in Toronto, just make that move.
Yeah. It's all about networking yourself and building that community. And I guess for yourself then do you think that's where Doggos kind of really helped you build a community because you are bringing so many new faces to these events and bringing together the kind of dog lovers already? Do you think that's really what shifted into making Puppysphere so successful? Or do you think it's just the people and what the idea behind Puppysphere that had its own kind of community already built for it?
There's such different communities, to be completely honest.
Yeah.
The dog space, people love their dogs. They want to bring their dogs. Puppysphere is don't bring your dog.
Yeah.
So it's literally the complete opposite take. And the one thing when it comes to Puppysphere is that it did take a community of people that are a part of the team, believe in the mission, and are a part of that incredible growth that we're doing together. But in terms of our like total, how we went from like 5,000 followers in the beginning to now the 120,000 followers we have on social media in a year is social media. Like truly it's going viral because people love puppies.
Totally.
The content takes off, and I'm sure you know that too with your experience in socials.
Yeah.
When you have one video go viral, you can gain like 15,000 followers.
Yeah, it can be life-changing overnight if you have one thing kind of work out and the audience it can reach. And
have you had
that,
many like moments that really made you feel like super successful, or you went viral, or like really times where you felt like, oh, I made it, or like I've achieved this goal that I've been working on forever?
I am so hard on myself. And so I'm sure like you guys get that too. You'll have an amazing accomplishment and the next day you forget and you're like, what's the next thing?
Yeah.
So I find I do fall in that a little bit, but I do like to, and I encourage everyone listening as well to be able to genuinely cherish those moments because they're fleeting. And when you're just focusing on that rat race, you're really like, there's no means to an end, truly. It continues. So if I were to think of some moments, I think the biggest piece is when I have my team together for, let's say, a social. A great example, I brought my team to Disney World.
Wow.
Where we had a incredibly inspirational experience to look at how a company can run an experience that's just completely seamless and transports you to a new world. And so when I was there in Disney and I saw my team just like getting it, seeing the vision, that was a moment where it just like sunk into my heart. I'm like, wow, I've done this and I'm able to impact people more than just like seeing this for myself. I'm like, this is inspiring so much more than just me.
Yeah. I've seen you talk on TikTok kind of just loosely.
My little TikTok?
Yeah, love
Follow
them.
me, Francesca Albo.
Plugging it.
Actually, it's my middle name, Francesca Marpicia. How embarrassing. I have so many followers.
We'll add a little clip up there with it. But I've seen you kind of loosely talk about just, and you kind of hit on this earlier, but just about kind of paying your employees before paying yourself. And how did you kind of come to recognizing like the importance of, I mean, it should be obvious, but it's not always, but the importance of like giving a salary to your employees and like a sustainable salary, as well as giving your employees like these opportunities when really like you could pocket that money or like be taking that and be kind of hiring entry level employees to do the work who are good at it, but like people who are just more like, I want to say like desperate for that work out of university or college who are just looking to get into it versus actually like recognizing how important it is for people to have like that before yourself. How
Such a great question. I think for me, it's really about building something massive. I'm not looking to create a company with transient people where it has no bones. Right. You want to build a company with solid structure. You want to build a team of people that threaten you. They're so talented. And that, I'd say, just like a side note, the best people to hire are people that in their interview threaten you. Like genuinely in your bones, you're like jealous or you feel like your ego
You're scared of them.
You're scared of them. Those are the best people to hire because they know more than you, and that's the best. You want your entire team to be more knowledgeable and smarter than you.
Well, you should be hiring too. I think like people who like you shouldn't want to be the one who knows everything, who does everything, because otherwise why are you hiring somebody? Like
you should have the vision. You should have the vision, and you should be inspirational, and you should be caring and thoughtful and also tough.
Yeah.
But you want to hire people with skill sets you don't even want.
Yeah. What's that quote that it's like
being the smartest person in the room?
Yeah.
If you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yes. And yeah. So
that's a great quote. But what was the question?
Sorry, just how you chose to focus on like giving your staff like a sustainable salary and that versus kind of taking home your own first and looking at what you could do. Like you said earlier, the fancy cars, the fancy apartment, like you could have all that, but you're choosing to give your staff probably an opportunity at that before yourself.
Because I'm not in it for the money. I'm in it to build something big, build something impactful, and bring a ton of people along with me.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the best and most successful companies do that. And it's honestly just naturally who I am. I love the building process. And when you find amazing people, keep them as long as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So even when Puppysphere blows up, has been, yay. No, Puppysphere is taking off. I'm going to be building other startups as well. And so when we sell off Puppysphere or whatever other wellness companies we're creating, I'm going to keep my favorite people for sure. Because I'm in it to build multiple companies and do amazing things.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah. You have a partner too, right? Like, what's it like working with a close friend? Like Leanna
She's
and
like
I
the worst.
are close.
Yeah. So
It's
we say
hard.
about each other.
I love my co-founder, Leah. We have such different skill sets.
Mm-hmm.
She's much more detail-oriented, highly aesthetic, and focused on operations. I am more of the marketing girly, partnerships, and inspiration for the company. So we really have this incredible dynamic. We're also best friends, and I got really lucky to have someone that I'm in business with and I would have a sleepover with any day of the week.
Have you found at any point it has had an effect on your friendship working together, or have you guys always just...
I want to turn that around on you.
Oh
give me the scoop.
I mean, I don't know. I think we're still so new into it that we're in like that excitement phase of like we are kind of riding off of each other's ideas and like we can kind of take those like, nope, that doesn't work, like very like not personally, because it's like, okay, well, like, you know, I mean, ask us in a year how it is, and I would like truly believe like that we've had the hard talks about like don't let anything come in between it. But I mean, ask us in a year if there's ever been like a hiccup in the road. Like I'm sure everybody has that, but I would like to believe not.
The beginning is the most treacherous part because especially when it's like not making money in the beginning and like you're putting a lot into it, it actually gets a lot better when things pick up. So that's a great sign.
I would like to hear Robin's side.
Yeah, I was going to say, like,
spill the tea.
We definitely disagree on things. And I think at times, like, there can be those tense moments where, like, I think I'm right, she thinks she's right, and, like, we don't want to budge. But then we have, like, a, like, come to Jesus moment where we're like, okay, like, let's take A and B and, like, make C and, like, make it better and, like, let's move on. And, like, we'll, like, call each other and be like, okay, sorry, like, I'm not mad anymore, so.
Yeah, I just think it's rainbows and butterflies because normally I'm like, nope, that doesn't work. I would say I'm the harder one in terms of Robin will say something and I'm like, no, this is the way it should be. But I was thinking about it earlier today. I'm like, it's not personal. I just know like it's not even that the idea is not there. I'm like, that's a brilliant idea. But I think there's just certain things that like I have my mind, like I can have my mind kind of focused on. But I will say, Robin, like, it's her for being so easygoing of just like, okay, like that's okay. But also standing her ground when it's like, no, like this is my idea and this is what I think it should be. But back to you guys. Have you ever had that? Like,
yeah, like
is there somebody
disagreement?
We've totally had moments.
Is there somebody a little bit more strong-headed in the relationship?
Me, definitely me. I'm the Leanna here for sure. Yeah, I would find for Leah and I, we are able to separate our fights in business with our friendship. Where, let's say, we have a big disagreement at work, which happens. We bicker like a married couple.
Yeah.
which is actually really normal. When you're in business, especially co-founders of a business, it's like being in a marriage. And so you're gonna bicker, but it's the best to just be so honest, but also supportive.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like an honesty that's mean to like be above someone. It's more just honesty to better each other.
And
so
that's what I'd say where it comes from. Yeah.
Love it. So even for Leia and I, like sometimes like when we have a work fight, we'll still hang out at night and we'll just not talk about the work piece.
Yeah.
So
you can
we've
separate
never,
the two.
Exactly. So we've never really had like a huge falling out with our friendship.
Yeah, that's good. That's encouraging
Harmonious,
to know. Yeah.
And even our CFO that we brought in, Jackson, who's been like a pivotal role in our startup, we're all good friends. Leia, Jackson, and I. Like, we'll go party together in Miami.
Love that.
And then we'll work for like 12 hours a day for like 6 days straight. So we have an amazing dynamic and it just works well.
Okay, love that. Has there been any other challenges that you guys have faced? And by you guys, I mean just like your entire team while building out and I guess shifting to Puppysphere and the focus on that. Any hard challenges that you came to that you were like, oh my gosh, could this be the end? Like,
pull the parachute.
Yeah. Or has it been just pretty knock on wood?
Can you imagine? I said like, oh, it's been chill. Like the least relatable. Like that's so boring. No, I think being an entrepreneur comes with so many hurdles and you're facing challenges every single day. Just becomes more fun when you have a team behind you to support and go through them. I'd say our biggest challenge right now is because we've kind of set the stage with puppy yoga becoming this like huge trend. Even when we've launched in New York, the Google search trend of like puppy yoga went up to, I think it was like 1,000 times. It was like completely insane because we're bringing this new concept. There's been a lot of competitors pop up and they've been highly unethical. And so the ethics behind a lot of these companies that will like breed their own dogs and mistreat the puppies for the classes, that entirety has been really stressful on us because we really believe in making sure that the puppies are being socialized and it's a positive experience for them, just like the people. So we have strict protocols, we have trained staff, and just so much more. And so with all of these like unethical companies popping up, it really stresses us out because we don't want to be kind of put in the same bucket as these companies because we do care about animals so much.
Yeah.
So right now our biggest challenge is how do we, one, differentiate ourselves from the unethical companies that are popping up. Naturally, it's going to happen. And then also, how do we share with people what makes a puppy yoga company ethical versus unethical?
Do you want to elaborate a little bit for any listeners who are interested in the classes? What makes yours the ethical side of things versus ones that completely aren't, or what people might be concerned that isn't?
Absolutely. And also we have a website page that kind of dives through all of these pieces if you go on the puppysphere.com. But for us, it's really a three-piece, I'd say, problem to tackle. One is ensuring that the puppies have the right items on site. So making sure that they have food, water, and they have access to all of that. They get proper sleep time before and in between classes. So some of these puppy yoga classes will be like no stops and they'll have 5 classes in a row. The puppies are tired.
Yeah.
It's over stressing them out. So really ensuring they're getting that sleep, they're getting the right check-ins. So we actually have trained event facilitators that will check in and do these wellness checks on the puppies during and between classes. And if a puppy needs a little break because they're overstimulated, they get to go back in the pen and have a break. So really that piece when it comes to on-site puppy safety. Second is our classes aren't selling based. So because we work with reputable breeders, rescues, for our breeder classes, we are never going to push for sales of the dogs.
Right.
A lot of the classes that exist today are run by breeders that are sometimes backyard breeders. And they're really just pumping out dogs for this class. And that's highly unethical. Thirdly is our vetting of breeders and rescues that come in. We have someone full-time that does a complete overview and background check and even vets the environment that these puppies are raised in to make sure that they are ethical. This is probably so boring to you guys.
No, it's not.
It's actually
I think
really
it's so
interesting.
good.
Because we were kind of talking about this earlier, and again, like I knew a few pieces just from attending the classes, from like doing work, and I was trying to explain to Robin, but I was like, no, like it would be interesting to ask, because I was like, I don't actually know, and I wasn't fully aware that there was a page on the website, so that's also good to know.
Yeah,
we love our puppies.
Yeah.
We want the puppies to have an incredible time just like the people. Puppy safety comes first.
Right.
So beyond people having a good time, if a puppy wants to sleep, they're going to sleep in our class. They're not going to be picked up and brought around. So it's just important that it's safe for both.
Yeah, that's so good to hear. You're like the Mother Teresa.
Hey, we're not like perfect. Things still come up. But we're definitely every single day trying to become a more ethical company and putting puppies' safety first.
Yeah.
Because they're so cute.
Yeah.
I know, like you said, like you don't push for like the sales of them or anything, but we were wondering, have you ever had somebody like attend a class and then later come back and be like, I got that puppy? Like,
totally.
Yeah,
So for our like rescue-based classes, that's definitely like a huge push for us during those classes, where people will take home a pup after, and it's just so sweet. For our breeder-based classes, they'll get on the wait list. And so we just had someone from a past Chow Chow breeder say like, I finally got my puppy from being on the wait list. And if you guys know Chow Chows, they're like so chunky and fluffy and just the smooshed faces.
Oh my goodness. Oh, that's so cute. And it must be like nice to like have that side of it too, to be like, you just like built a family for somebody by them being able to come to your classes, and now adding that extra family member because of it. That's really cool.
Robin, do you have a dog too?
I don't. I just had a baby.
I know.
That keeps me very, very busy.
That's a much bigger responsibility.
I think I'm going to come to you in like maybe 5 or 6 years. I think that's like a good time to get a little dog. That would be perfect.
We talk about our babies and I'm like, not the same level.
But you birthed your son, correct?
Absolutely. Pretty much. He looks identical to me. You birthed yours too, didn't you?
Yes. Yeah. I'll show you the ultrasound pictures.
Yeah. That's so funny. Okay. And something else now, just more on like the personal side of things. How do you balance being an entrepreneur, running the business that you are, as well as just being like a 27-year-old living in Toronto doing your thing? Like, what keeps you going to balance that work personal life balance?
I probably don't have the most normal schedule comparatively to when I worked more of a 9 to 5. I probably work about 10-hour days most days, but I love it, and I take breaks, and I'll go to a yoga class, etc. I would say I definitely like to take my passions and like dive into them deeper. I just started an acting class.
Nice.
My sister and I have been hanging out a ton. I actually have a famous sister.
Oh.
Internet girl. Shout out to you, Bella. I love you. And so we've been hanging out a ton. She lives in New York now.
Wow.
So every time I visit New York, I stay with her. And we're planning on putting together a film. So we're going to be putting together a little documentary.
So
Very
cool.
cool. My brother is a videographer and makes documentaries. So yes,
This community. This community.
So if you need somebody, I mean,
I love it. In terms of balance, though, like dating is hard because I'm so busy. It's slightly there. It's definitely hard.
I'm like, I've seen some TikTok. Any other mentions you want to shout?
I'm going to keep that on the DM.
Yeah. Dating is hard, period.
But yeah, I'll just like have my passions, hang with my friends, and try and fill my time with things outside of just like drinking, partying. That phase is over.
Yeah.
I have passed the baton, and now I love to fill it with like restaurant openings, networking socials, going on hikes, etc.
Yeah.
The new realm.
Yes. We love it. We love that. It's all about the self-love, self-care era, and yeah, focusing on being the amazing entrepreneur you are.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like you've been able to grow like with this as well, like speaking about working for a company and you were like too immature to then start your thing, and now here you are like transition. We talk about this a lot in our podcast, but like moving into that like womanhood from being a girl and like just like being passionate about what you're doing and like inspired and working really long hours, but it's like worth it in the end.
Yeah.
So, like, how do you like navigate that or like stay in a routine or not get overwhelmed or still have time to like think about what's next creatively?
So I have a couple tactics as an entrepreneur that work incredibly. You basically will block in times where it's like meeting periods and days of deep work. So I find that on my meeting days, which are Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I have my walking pad, or I'll go into office and I'll like ensure that I'm getting all of those meetings done. Everyone has a little bit more of a chance to interact. And then the deep work days, those are the days I focus on getting things done. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I don't work on anything that needs to get done other than just answering emails here and there. That gives me a lot of balance mentally because it allows me to go, oh, it's a meeting day. I can shut my brain off of like, I need to get this done, because I give myself that freedom and that like allowance to just focus on being there and present with my team members.
Yeah.
So I find that through a schedule like that and high organization, Asana, Notion, all of that, highly recommend. That allows me to have a little bit more of like a headspace at night so I can like work out, spend time with people. But I do have to say, after busy days, I like to be stupid at night. I like to shut my brain off and be completely stupid.
Yeah. With all the other like studios opening and stuff, are you fine? I mean, I'm sure your life has gotten so much busier and having to be different places as well. How are you managing that side of things then? Like, obviously your life is changing day by day, but with all that, are you finding you need to be at all of them? Is the travel becoming a difficult thing for you? Or is it actually like, do you make those trips all work related or more like a fun kind of vacation time as well?
I love it. I love scaling. I love going into a new city, being immersed in the new culture. It is such an incredible thing to have built your business and you get to see completely new group of people experience it. When it comes to now how the company is structured, I actually didn't show up to the Chicago launch. I had Leah, Alice, and a couple other team members like Taryn who were on site and helped manage that launch. So we actually have these like systems protocols in place that at this point in the company, we're basically like a franchise.
Yeah.
So I don't actually need to be on site for the launches.
Right.
But I couldn't help but visit Chicago last weekend.
Yeah.
Because I just had to go see it. And that was like a lot more casual.
And I was going to say, too, like with that, do you ever get kind of the FOMO on missing out on those launches? I mean, as you do grow into a franchise, I'm sure like you have to recognize it's inevitable, not like it's going to happen and you can't be in 10 different places at once. But do you ever get a little bit of FOMO of like, oh, I like wish I was there, or was it good enough to
FOMO.
see?
I actually get FOMO of regular people going on normal vacations.
Oh. Fair.
Honestly, like when you're an entrepreneur, you do not get the luxury of vacation. You get to visit your launches. You get to be a part of amazing experiences. in 2 weeks, I'm going to be on Good Morning America.
Wow.
Super excited about that.
Congratulations.
Wait for me to just throw that out there. And so we get all these incredible, incredible opportunities, but I don't get to ever shut my phone off. Ever. Not on a Saturday, not on a Sunday. And I am constantly putting out fires, constantly. So I get more FOMO of regular people getting to live a normal life, go on vacation for 3 weeks to Asia and backpack. I used to do that and I miss it. But I also chose the life I live and I love it more. So it's always a sacrifice. But I'm happy with my choice. Eventually I'll get to go on the most luxurious vacations. But right now I'm taking that bullet to be able to build amazing things. And now I still get to travel. I still get to go, let's say, in August, we're scaling into Los Angeles. So we're going into California. So I still get to do these incredible experiences. It's just not as, there's always strings attached to it.
Yeah. And I mean, it's cool though, because all these places, although it is work related and I'm sure it's tiring and everything, it's pretty incredible to say you have a studio there. Like you have the opportunity to kind of make work the trip to go, okay, well, I'm going to LA for the weekend and, book a meeting day and go to the beach maybe.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's pretty cool.
Beyond like expanding to other major cities, do you have anything that you're willing to share that is upcoming as well that you're working on?
Yes. So I think I kind of sprinkled it in earlier, but we're actually creating a new company called Sphere Wellness, and it will be a amalgamation of many different wellness experiences where puppy yoga is just one of the many wellness offerings. And these experiences are going to be great introductions into wellness. So it's really making wellness more accessible to people versus a lot of the wellness experiences that have really taken, let's say, Toronto by storm that are amazing. But as a beginner, they're really scary.
Totally.
And there's something that are kind of gatekept for the people in that community. So our goal is to make highly imaginative, memorable experiences that are Disney-esque. So a lot is to be coming there come Q4.
I love that.
That's amazing.
There's
I'm excited.
nothing more intimidating than going to like a new workout class or studio for the first time. So I love
for sure. Like reformer Pilates.
Yes.
Have you guys ever done reformer Pilates? Is a whole thing.
It's so
you
scary.
need to pick everything up and move the strings, and
it has its own language.
Yes.
And you're just like, what am I doing?
For sure.
I just joined Robin's gym and I was messaging her the other day. I was like, I have a yoga class. I was like, I'm so scared. I don't know where to go. I don't know what to do. And she was like, just ask them for a tour. And they didn't give me one. And I'm messaging her and I was like, I don't know where to go.
Yeah, it's definitely a scary thing. And so I think helping people transition into wellness and realize, hey, it's not as scary as I thought. Kind of like sneaking vegetables into desserts.
Yeah. Oh, I had to make sure I told the teacher that I was new here. I'm like, I am new. Like, go easy on me. But yeah, I think that's so cool because it can definitely be intimidating. And especially when you want to try new things or get out there and do it, but you just, like, the tools aren't necessarily there or like, you're thinking.
Or you show up and it's just way too much. You're like, I think they're on a different level than I want to be at.
And you don't always get the first class. Okay, so you did that. Like, I still have anxiety going to my second or third class because I'm like, I'm not fully in it yet. I still don't. I mean, ask me again where the studio is. I probably will not be able to find it all. So it's nice to have those kind of tools and resources then to be able to do it because it's not always the first class. It's the first, second, third kind of entry into it before you get comfortable and can meet people. So love that.
Yeah. Yeah, you're really like making wellness fun because for a lot of people it can be scary and inaccessible. So love it.
That's the plan.
Will puppies be involved all times? Or
No, so that will just be for Puppysphere.
Okay.
We are starting Kitty Sphere as well.
Oh.
So kitty yoga is coming soon.
That's actually really cute. Cats are like obviously a whole different breed.
Yeah.
But that'll be interesting to see. Just like I find kittens are more of like climbers and
They're
like
crazy.
attached.
Yeah.
We did our first kitten yoga in Miami and we were like, let's see what happens here.
Yeah.
And we definitely didn't know how it would go because I'm like, we're so used to like the puppies poo or pee in different spots. We have our event facilitators like ready to clean up, but cats go in the litter box.
Yeah.
And so we had like a little climbing thing gym for them. We had toys everywhere. They were so lovely.
Oh my goodness.
They were so lovely. Playing with everyone, giving little nibbles.
That's so
living
cute.
their kitten lives.
Yeah. Kittens I find are a lot more like energetic than, well, can be more energetic than puppies too. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how that goes. But there's cat lovers out there who are like,
we will see.
yes.
Yeah.
So that's amazing. Was there anything else that you kind of wanted to share, like advice that you could give to people who are starting out as entrepreneurs, or things that you wish when you started out somebody had have told you?
I think a big piece is people will tell you so much information on having to like build a business plan and have everything in place, but I would say completely throw that out.
Yeah.
I've never built a business plan until recently for my visa to go into the US, and I had to, and it's such bullshit. It's like 5 years. I'm like, I don't know where the company will be in 5 years. It's crazy. So I think when it comes to building a startup, have an idea and do it really simply, because even though that might be what you think will take off, chances are it won't be. You're going to be iterating constantly and really testing different ideas within your market. Even when it comes down to a podcast, like your audience is going to tell you what they want to hear. Even if you want to talk about a certain thing, your audience might not care about that. And so you're really figuring out, what do people want, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to take time of seeing what the market truly tells you. So just be as attentive as possible and stay nimble and have fun along the way.
I love that. Thank you.
Noted.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I'm sure our listeners will need that too, because right now we are focusing on entrepreneurs and everything, but that's interesting. And with that, you did mention a visa. Are you relocating to the US?
I am probably going to split my time between New York and Toronto.
Okay. Very cool.
My sister's in New York, and we also, like, New York is our cash cow for our business. And so it'd be great to be able to, you know, we're building our management team in Toronto. So of course I still want to be connected with the team and check in. But New York City.
I know.
New York City.
That's a whole different
I have no
story.
responsibilities outside my startup and my doggo, who's my son. So why not live in a new city? And I honestly encourage anyone to, if you get the opportunity to live in another city, fucking do it. We limit ourselves so much on these beliefs that we have to stay close to family and we have to do things like that. You can end up back in your same city, but you might as well, while you're young, explore new places if you get that opportunity. Americans travel to new cities all the time that are completely different than where they're from, and they're constantly hopping around. Yet as Canadians, we often stay. So I really, really encourage people to test the waters and don't be the crab in the bucket.
Yes. Yeah. Wow. That's, that's good.
Love that.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for coming on. And that was a perfect note to kind of end this on. We really, really appreciate it. And again, like, I've known you for a while, but you've been such an inspiration. And when we started this, I'm pretty sure you were the first name that I was like, we have to get her on. I was like, we need to do something with Francesca, with Puppysphere. And I'm just really glad that we were able to make this happen. So thank you.
You girls are fucking amazing. And this was so much fun.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. And yeah, maybe one day we'll be doing a collab or something.
Yes,
We're-
absolutely. You're going to be in a new city with me, and we're like, oh, we were both on the talk show. Should we hang out after?
Exactly. Can't wait for that. We're really like manifesting it. The things we want, we're putting out,
Totally.
putting into the mic. So, yes.
The massive mic.
Yes. The terrifying mic. But no, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. So, on that note, happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
And that's that. Bye.
Bye.